Who is the greatest Formula One driver of all time? Now, I've immediately heard someone say Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher, or Max Verstappen, or Juan Manuel Fangio, or Ayrton Senna. Wrong. You're wrong. So what? Hamilton might have the most championships in terms of stats, but the GOAT of Formula, not just Formula One, of Formula One, but he should be considered around a lot. Jim Clark. Now, you might think 2 World Championships? That's it? Well, Jim Clark does a lot more than just 2 World Championships, and an Indianapolis one. Now, a driver nowadays would complain that 23 races in a season is way too much. You know, it puts stress on the team, puts stress on the player, whatever. Glossing over the fact of Jim Clark doing 63 races in 1965. Not just in F1, as I hand over to Richard Hammond from the Grand Tour.
In 1965, Jim Clark raced in 63 races. Some of these cars look similar, but they are all completely different. In a car like this, he'd do Formula One Championship. He raced in the British Formula 2 Championship and the French Formula 2 Championship in this car. He raced in the Tasman Series, a sort of Australian Grand Prix for Down Under, in this car. And then there's this Lotus Cortina, in which he decided to race in touring cars. And then if all that wasn't enough, he decided to go for the Indy 500.
After trying 3 times with Lotus across 3 different years, Jim Clark would finally win the Indy 500. And while trying to win the Indy 500, he also won the Formula One Championship in 1963 and 1965. But because F1, especially in the 1960s, was all about reliability, because reliability could kill you, he had something that really shone across the grid. He had some sort of sixth sense of how the car felt. Now, I can't really explain this, but I found a clip that probably can. It was from the practice session of the Barcelona Grand Prix.
In Barcelona, in practice, he came in after 10 laps and we were doing 10. He said, "There's something on the left rear. Something is, I can feel something on the left rear. It's not right." We looked over, we checked everything felt good. We said, "No, there's something wrong." So that night, I took the left rear suspension to pieces, and lo and behold, one of the wheel bearings has just started to wear. I don't know how anybody could ever feel that, but he did.
After the race, when you stripped his car down and you stripped his co-driver's car down, you could always tell which parts came off Jimmy's car and which parts came off the other driver's car, because the parts of Jimmy's car were more or less pristine.
Pristine. That's probably how you describe his driving style. The sportsmanship this guy showed. He was only ever involved in one controversial collision, and that was with Wolfgang von Trips in the Italian Grand Prix, where von Trips cut across Jim Clark, sending von Trips flying in the air, killing himself and 15 spectators. And even though he wasn't at fault, Clark still felt massive guilt, and because of the jingoistic nature of companies back then, they tried to prosecute him for murder, even though it wasn't his fault. So every time he went to the Italian Grand Prix, he was really skeptical about going to Monza. It was a very large scar that was left in him after that race. A bit like Charles Leclerc after 2022. So if you want to try and compare Jim Clark to Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher, forget the stats. Just look at way in which he drives and what he gets out of it. And I'll just throw in another example. Belgian Grand Prix 1965. Winning the Grand Prix after starting 8th and pulling a gap on second place of just under 5 minutes. And to put into perspective, Max Verstappen, he'd only win by 20 seconds. And he does that daily, especially this season. So if you really want a picture, the F1 GOAT, the greatest of all time, the GOAT is the acronym, then look no further than the evidence I've just proved in this video. Adios, and catch you in the next one. If you did enjoy, like and subscribe. I do F1 content like this. I'm hoping to do more in the future. But until next time, goodbye. Joe out.